All right, we are live. Good afternoon, folks. We are back. Mickey Black, Jennifer J, hanging out, talking little marketing, digital stuff, AI, automation, and all things in between. Specifically, talking about Go High Level these days. I know there's a lot of people doing a lot of things, but I think a lot of people are missing out on the personalization aspects of AI and specifically the way it's integrated into Go High Level. And when you're talking about personalization, really proving to your customer that you know them. So there's a personalized open and there's some personalized communications there. I know it's been a big thing in my cold emails, making my cold emails warm. And Jen, I know you're probably the master of this. How are you using personalization in your emails and other campaigns these days?
Yeah, so for me, it's conversational. So making sure that I'm talking like I normally talk, right? And it's to the point where people can't really tell the difference. Um, that because of how I do it. So I'll say, hey Mickey, did you see that email I sent you about such and such and such and such? Oh my goodness, blah 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 blah. And I just start going on, right? But I've been seeing a trend of really, really getting personal and opening up. So like I just saw one that came through earlier that was like, hey Jen, I bought a house. Now I know it's a marketing email because I know better, but anybody else would be like, what? You sent me a message saying you bought a house, you open it. And then it was just really talking about that person's journey in business and what staples you need to do to stay consistent and stay the course. But everything, like I just saw one. It was funny. I just saw one. Dan Kennedy. He's with Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels. This one says, your dumb lizard brain. Like, what is that? So they're getting away from being commercial and more into being more personal for the consumer and for so giving away, your information and what's going on and things like that. Like I noticed I sent an email out after I got COVID saying, "Hey, I had COVID, what I learned from COVID," or things like that. People are more interested in those type of stories than they are just your general marketing emails.
Yeah, and I like how you pointed to the whole example of using stories and the personal sort of sharing. It's a big deal, and I think it kind of takes the cold email and elevates it to like a warm email because you're communicating in an intimate way.
Mhm.
It seems more personal. One thing that I've just been playing with and discovering in terms of personalization is smart lists and extensive tagging. So
Mhm.
a lot of times in my email lists, I will tag certain different things that I know about client. So, say for instance, if they went to an HBCU, I'll tag that. Or if they work in New York, I'll tag that. And then I'm able to create smart lists for um, the people in my list that fit that category. So, say for instance, if there's a storm in New York, I can make a smart list and quickly identify all my clients that live in New York and say, "Oh, this is happening in New York, and better pack up, better stay warm, blah blah blah," and it contextually sort of meets them where they are. Um, Same with like cultural relevance, whether it is HBCU members or uh, different categories of clients, you can reach out and make reference to those things that you know and start to shape the conversation. So if it is Latin American History Month, you can have a communications around that that's very specific and personal. Have you started to use the tags at all? You use tags?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's mandatory. Tagging and segmenting is mandatory in email marketing. It just is. I do not set up anything without segmenting it in some kind of way, whether it's tagging, and then in high level you can create smart lists based on pretty much anything, user behavior, different things. They're in this automation, just all of those things. You can segment on, based on you know what the triggers or the parameters are.
Yeah, and that's you mentioned two things that I think are key for people to pick up on is the segmentation. Like, I think a lot of times people um, hear it but don't quite fully understand it. But it's really sort of like taking that position where you're categorizing these clients from the get go. And so you've got these different segments. So how do you use the segmentation for your lists?
Yeah, so pretty much anything that anyone does, right? So if they download a lead magnet, right? If they download a lead magnet, they are tagged by whatever that lead magnet was, and then they're sent into a nurture series that pertains to whatever that strategy is, right? So the strategy for let's just say, okay, I have a lead generation playbook. So if they download the lead generation playbook, they're tagged with the lead generation playbook tag, and they're gone in that nurture series. Now, the purpose of that is to let people know, just because you set up systems, it doesn't stop there. There are activities you need to do to generate leads back to the system so the system can work, right? And so they go into that nurture, but the ultimate goal is, hey, book a call with me so we can see how to set up systems for you for your business. Or do you have lead generation systems in your business? If you don't, set up a call. And so that's kind of what that tag looks like. And now if you want to go back and say, this is the tag I want to send to people who downloaded that lead generation playbook. Maybe I have an offer for them, a special offer, right? That they could take advantage of. So if you create special offers for certain things inside of your system, then you'll be able to send to them based on the tags, right? Because you'll be able to just go pull all those people up and just send to them now, instead of trying to figure out, well, who do I send it to? Okay, well, I'm just sending it to my whole list. No, please don't do that.
Yeah, it's I'm glad you brought up that example specifically based on lead generation because that's another way to automatically segment and leverage certain personalized communications. And you made me think of it because we are talking about the playbooks and potentially doing playbooks for different categories. So you've got the real estate playbook, you've got the healthcare playbook, you might have like the financial services playbook. And so for me, what I realized is you can now segment those clients based on what type of playbook they downloaded. So that would be a different. So if you had, say, a communication that was specific to real estate professionals, you can target that category and not have to just blast out your whole list, half of which aren't real estate agents and they don't really care. So then they're gonna get that and they're gonna unsubscribe because be like, get out of here. And
Right,
so you
right.
can really kind of pinpoint and directly engage with specific members of your list, which makes the communications more relevant. So when they see your brand communications and they know it's for them and it has value for them, they're going to make a distinction for your brand to say, oh, that brand is on point in terms of the value of their content. So a note taken for me because I didn't always. I do a lot of manual tagging is what I do. And I'm trying to get more into the automatic tagging, but tagging by lead gen is a good
Explain that.
good practice. Yeah.
Explain your manual tagging process. Like, what's the thought process behind
Oh,
it?
so it's it's really so it's really simple. A lot of times after being on a call with a client, or I'll take the time to like sort of like brain dump everything I know about a client. Specifically because I think for me, and part of the mission with network.ai is really giving new categories and new data sets that aren't obvious in your HubSpot, like aren't obvious in the broader data sets, whatever cultural relevance I in real life know about.
Mhm,
I'll try to make sure that client record, is as robust as possible.
mhm,
Because I also, it helps me when ideating on behalf of that client, or just like looking at the network that I have and making new connections for that client that may not be obvious. I
mhm,
lean on those tags. So I will usually put in culturally relevant tags, or just tags that aren't your standard tags. So I have a fuller understanding. And I do it just by hand. I usually, if I'm working with a client, set aside like an hour or two just to kind of think about their business, really understand the plan and the roadmap for their business. And I use that time to just manually tag and build a profile of everything I know.
okay, that's different. All right, so that your tagging is different than what I described. That's why I was like,
Yeah.
explain that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
no,
but I
that's
think both
really
have relevance. It's good to have the automatic tagging,
mhm,
but sometimes the deeper I'm getting into serving clients, and the deeper that I'm seeing it in parallel with the capabilities of the um, the platforms, there's just additional nuance that helps me paint a full picture,
mhm,
especially in conjunction with the AI.
mhm,
So that additional layer of AI being present and having new data points that may not be, as obvious in your corporate sense,
yeah,
but there's a cultural context. So that's
mhm,
that's part of the whole mission, is making sure that we're present in the technology game, making
mhm,
sure that the cultural context is injected into the technology to make sure there's representation. So that's my spiel about tagging and diversity.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is really good. So that's like another level. So this is after they're a client, you further do a deep dive into
Mm-hmm.
where they kind of stand and create your tags that way. That is definitely good. That's really good based off of what you know about the client, what you've discovered, how you can help them moving forward. That is really
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm gonna, just in case anybody wasn't watching yesterday's. I know yesterday we talked about an upcoming workshop towards the end of the month. So what is that? You typically you're gonna do the workshops on Facebook. Is it gonna be open to your Facebook group?
Yes, it's definitely going to be open to the Facebook group. And what we're going to do is only offer that inside of the Facebook group. So you have to be inside the Facebook group to be able to take advantage of it. And so um if you want to get into the Facebook group and you're watching this and you're not in the Facebook group, it is Systems and Automation Mastery. And what we'll do is we will post the link after this live is over. So
Yeah.
you can join the Facebook group and take advantage
Yeah, and it's right there at the bottom of the thing. Systems and Automation Mastery with Go High Level. That's the
and get
Facebook.
at it.
All right. Well, happy lunchtime, everybody. Again, hanging out with Jennifer J, Mickey Black. We'll be back tomorrow. All right. Cheers, everybody. Later.